Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Duplantis, and you're watching It's Your Health. My guest tonight is Susan Siren, and we're talking about yoga tonight. And we're actually going to have a demonstration of what yoga actually is, and we'll be going to that in just a minute. But Susan, a few points on yoga and exactly what is yoga. You know, my recollection of it, and what I think a lot of people think it is, everything from just a simple stretching exercises. Yoga is a form of maybe meditation, maybe a form of mind-body relaxation, total relaxation, so to speak, proper breathing that helps to relax you. Also, as well, that yoga has a connotation for some people as a religious practice, and I think maybe yoga might have lost some disfavor, or people are a little hesitant to embrace yoga or even try it because they think it's a religious type of exercise or spiritual type of thing that people do in a certain religion. And can you tell us basically what is yoga and give us an idea?
Sure. All good things, what you said at the beginning. It's an efficient method of rehabilitation. People use it before going into some major type of surgery, some kind of a way of comforting themselves and supporting their body through tough times of healing. It focuses on prevention, stretching, like you said, and alleviating certain and particular types of conditions. People can use the movements of yoga, harnessing their breathing to change their body, change their life, but also changing a person's mind and the way that they feel about themselves and think about their world, create their world. So,
the religious connotations. Now,
yeah.
You have
Okay.
a lot of people that ask you, like, I'm interested in yoga, but really, I'm Christian. I really don't want to, change religions or anything.
I have had students.
How do you address that?
Well, it is true that yoga is used in Hinduism and Buddhism. They use yoga as a method of being closer to the divine, or having a spiritual opening. But the yoga is actually a philosophy that started in India. So it's a philosophy that's based on ethical behaviors and personal disciplines, which are what that's what religion has.
I've got a lot of Indian friends, and in a future show, I'd like to bring a particular lady, older lady I'm thinking of. I'm saying older, but she would be angry at me if I said older, referring to her. But I'd like to bring her on in the future. She's an avid exercise and fitness person, but she does it in her home, and she does yoga as well, and she's Hindu, and so she would be somebody good. I'd like to have her come on and maybe give. In a future show, to have her come on and give her background on what yoga means to her. From that, I'd like to see both perspectives. I'd like to reflect and have the people hear that. What are the hell? I know, I've read lots of information. It's great for the brain, great for memory because of the relaxation type things. It's something like, any other form of meditation that people do this to help them become stronger mentally. Can you elaborate on that for me, please?
Sure. The movements of yoga are designed, and this is something that was built on 5,000 years. This is a very old tradition, and the movements are there to remove obstructions from the body and to enhance or stimulate different parts of the body. And I just have I have a list here that I pulled together. So flexibility, we talked about flexibility and strength, but the emphasis on posture and balance. So then you're getting into preventing injury. Prevents.
I can relate to that from an injury prevention standpoint and stretching because, I've trained all my life, and I still enjoy training 4 or 5 times a week. And I do some stretching before, not as much as I should, because I'm in a hurry to get in and get out. But I have done some stretching before, especially training legs, and when I trained heavy, and when I did a lot of squats, I always would do a lot of stretching for my low back. And prior to doing my squats, and I always warm up, of course, with lightweight, which is a form of stretching the muscles and getting them ready to do something more intense. But it is very, you mentioned prevention, and I know that to be true because I've always heard, and even in my chiropractic discipline, that people who do yoga don't have back problems or have many back problems. So
it's all about lengthening.
Prevention, yeah. When you stretch,
Strengthening, lengthening, creating space.
Tendons, muscles as well.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Betters your bone health, great for osteoporosis, connective tissue. Increases the blood flow, but also drops blood pressure. And these are depending on the postures and the asanas.
That's one of the things I heard about it lowers heart rate. I heard that the yoga masters can lower their heart rate where it's almost non-detectable.
Yes.
And if you can lower your heart rate naturally, and if you can lower your blood pressure naturally without drugs, that's an awesome thing to be able to do. It's a mastery of your body, what you're telling me yoga is.
Absolutely.
It's a total control of mastery of your mind, which is very powerful. I mean, because if our mind, your mind can trick your body into thinking it's ill. Your mind really is the control center of everything. And
well, your mind is where everything originated anyway. Right. Any dis-ease in your mind and your thoughts has been manifested into the body.
Exactly. No, that's why depressed people are tired and fatigued all the time.
Yeah.
It starts in the brain.
Yeah.
And yoga addresses all these things. People who do yoga are not depressed. They're more relaxed. They're not as uptight, I would think, because they're meditating a lot.
Well, that's where the surface of yoga being more of an exercise practice where you go to class and then you have class with the teacher and then you go home. But what you're referring to is it being more of a way of understanding peace in inner peace and your own inner journey. So if you're aware and being able to take your awareness inside and being aware of what your body, where your tension parts of your body, where everything's holding, and then going from there into the mind. So then when you get into meditation and concentration and contemplation, all while working your breathing. So yoga is the body, but it's also the breath, and then it's also the mind.
They focus on breathing. They really focus on your breathing. And you breathe different in yoga than you do. I know the breathing when I exercise, when I exert a great deal of effort against something, if I'm doing a military press or a bench press, I want to exhale and because I don't want to keep a lot of pressure within the thoracic cavity and produce an increase in blood pressure. So you exhale on those type of movements, and when you do a squat, you exhale as you come up out of the squat because you don't want to contain that air. You could pass out if you hold your breath. You're not supposed to hold your breath. So those are proper breathing. But in yoga, when you inhale and you expand the stomach, not the diaphragm.
Well,
explain that to me.
Well, actually, breathing in yoga
it's different.
It has its own. It is different. The yogis have something called Ujjayi breath, and so this is an inhalation, exhalation, and it's through the nose, out through the nose, which is good because you're filtering your air, humidifying the air. It's great for the body, and it's a slow inhalation, slow exhalation, but each position has its own inhalation, exhalation, just like you said with the squat. You want to exhale with that. The flow, or the vinyasa, as yoga calls it, it's a vinyasa flow. So you're flowing with your breathing and your movements. So you're connecting your movements with your breath without there being a point where you're not connected and not aware of what's going on inside the body. In fact, it's called being present and being mindful. So breath, because it's happening as it's happening, and as you're moving cellular fluid through the body with the movement and the breath, it all puts it together for healing and well-being and balance. But breathing is essential to yoga. In fact, it's its own practice. There are yogas where it's all breathing. Kundalini yoga, which is about wakening energy channels in the body, is about sitting and doing breathing exercises. There's the breath of fire, and there's the alternate nostril breathing. It has its own specialty.
Very interesting, and like we were discussing, and prior to even coming on camera, we discussed the various forms of yoga. I'd like you to demonstrate now what some of the yoga flow is, or the positions, as you call it, the terminology you have. You know, yoga has its terminology.
Yoga has its own terminology in the same way that ballet does. You know, ballet has the French words.
Correct, yeah.
It has its own language to it. So if you come to a yoga class, you will hear Sanskrit
You
words.
learn a new vocabulary.
You learn a new vocabulary. Very old language, too.
Okay, well, look, we'll take a short station break, and we'll come back, and we'll have Susan Siren demonstrate some of the positions of yoga.
I'm not messing up my mic too much here. Can you sit in cross-legged by any chance? No.
Okay, ladies, you're just about ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Once again, Susan Siren demonstrating the yoga positioning.
We're ready? So we'll begin with child's pose, which is a resting position in yoga. And in child's pose, you're going to sit back, toes together, opening the knees wide, placing your chest on your mat. In yogis, we call this the third eye, the forehead. It's going to be on the mat with the arms alongside your body. And Cinnamon is going to be doing a modified child's pose. So hands out, sitting back, hips high. So in child's pose, stretching out the hips, ankles, opening the chest, stretching, lengthening the spine, and resting 1 to 3 minutes in child's pose. Great for reducing any stress, headaches, insomnia. So from child's pose, stretching the arms forward, we'll come into a tabletop pose. In tabletop pose, your wrists are in alignment with your shoulders, knees in alignment with your hips. So finding the stability here, we'll move into cat-cow. So on an inhalation, arching the back, lifting your gaze up, arching. Exhale, bringing the belly button in, rounding the spine up to the ceiling. And again, inhale. This is your mad cow. Exhale, coming into a cat, pulling the belly in, good core strength. And last time, inhale and exhale. Coming back to a neutral tabletop, tucking your toes and pressing back into downward facing dog. And downward facing dog, pedaling the heels out, feet staying in hip distance. So if your heels are not touching your mat, that's okay. Pressing your chest back, lengthening the spine, creating space, strengthening arms, strengthening the legs, stretching the hamstrings. And then walking your hands back to meet your feet.
in forward fold. So in forward fold, if your lower back is very tight, this is not good for your hamstrings. You can bend your knees deeply, resting your chest on your thighs. And eventually, as everything starts to release, straightening the legs. Great for digestion. Stimulates the kidneys, stimulates the liver. And bringing your hands to your hips and coming up for a flat back. And we'll go into tree posture. So in tree posture, we'll work both sides. Spreading the toes on the left foot, we'll bring the sole of the right foot to the inside of the groin. Finding balance, lengthen the spine. Finding a focus point in yoga, concentrating all of your energy into that point. Finding peace and stillness as you hold your balanced postures. You can hold tree posture 1 to 3 minutes. Challenge your balance. You might even put different arm movements into it. Tree pose can also have your arms overhead. And whatever you do to one side in yoga, you always do to the opposite side. So coming out of tree pose, we'll come down into twist. So this is just a snippet, a Reader's Digest version of yoga. So in twist, starting with legs out, Cinnamon's going to do a modified twist. So keeping the left leg straight, taking the right knee, bending it in and crossing the right foot over, grounding the right foot. So I'm going to go into the full seated twist, bringing the left foot underneath, snuggling right on the side of my torso, still keeping the hips grounded. Taking your left arm in the air and twisting over to the right, bringing the elbow either to the outside edge of your knee or hugging that knee and taking the right arm behind you, strong like a pillar, twisting the spine. This is great for stimulating digestion, stimulating the fire within. And you always want to think of twisting not only the lower part of the back, but spiraling the entire spine. So looking as far over your right shoulder as is comfortable. And then coming out of the twist, we'll come into legs up the wall. So in legs up the wall, just like it sounds, with Cinnamon, we're going to put a prop under her, let's see, yeah, under your lower back, let's see, there you go. So the hips are elevated in legs up the wall. Of course, we're not up the wall right now, but flexing the feet, toes pointing back toward you. All of the lymph fluids, other fluids, things that swell the ankles and you have tired knees, all of these things drain out. You can stay in legs up the wall and feel revitalized and rejuvenated. If you stay there 15 minutes, feeling rested, restored, all of these lymphs are pooling into the belly, so it's easier for circulation. And then from legs up the wall, bringing your legs all the way down into Shavasana, which is corpse pose. And in this position is where you will rest your body, melting into the mat, feeling yourself grounded. Close your eyes and go into a 3 to 5 minute meditation. And in meditation, focusing on your breathing, clearing the mind of all thoughts. And when the mind does get hijacked by thoughts, which it always does, taking your awareness back to your breath. And rolling all the way over to one side to come up out of your Shavasana. And we always end yoga hands in prayer. And in starting yoga and also meeting in yoga and ending in yoga, we say namaste. Namaste. Namaste translates to the spirit within me honors the spirit within you. So, Cinnamon, namaste. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan, for quite a demonstration on what yoga actually is. You know, I find it very interesting, to say the least, after watching the various yoga poses that you've done, and can see how very therapeutic and beneficial it is for both mind and body at the same time. You know, definitely relaxing the mind, decreasing the swelling in the lower extremities with, you know, the tree, not the tree pose, but the legs up the wall movement, which I thought was quite interesting. And it is very effective, and a lot of times physicians will tell patients that have lower body edema to do that, to elevate their legs, you know, from sitting too long or standing on their feet too long at the end of a day. If you have that type of job where you have to stand on your legs all day and maybe working retail or even as a nurse, that type of exercise I can see would be very beneficial. And in the other poses and the lotus, different moves that you've done here today, I'm not familiar with the terminology. Please excuse me if you are more expert at me and you're watching this program and you're more trained in yoga and understand it. The whole idea behind the program is to educate the public. And I hope you've gained some insight. I hope to continue this segment and bring Susan Siren back. She's with Bayou Lotus. If you have any questions for Susan about yoga and its benefits, feel free to contact her. Her information is on in the credits. I think it lists her email address and her website as well. It's called Bayou Lotus, and she is a yoga instructor, and I'm sure she can answer all of your questions. And I'd like to continue, like I said, I'd like to continue this in future date. What's great about yoga is that anyone can do it at any age. And yoga usually doesn't have to have a doctor's clearance to start doing a yoga type program, because it's not physically taxing or strenuous, but yet you derive many great health benefits from it. In a future date, I may try to join Susan in maybe a session of yoga and try that out. I mean, you know, it's all about experimenting, you know, and but you know, we all have our own things that we like to do for us for fitness, and you need to find something that you enjoy doing and you stay with it. If you like riding bikes, then by all means, you know, ride bikes for your exercise. If you like to play tennis, then use tennis, because if you want to exercise consistently, frequently, but you want it to be something that you enjoy and that you find pleasure in doing. And so I can see from the standpoint of the yoga practices that it's something very relaxing, very enjoyable. And we've mentioned just only a few of the health benefits: lowering blood pressure, you know, one very important, and then even improving your memory and lowering your heart rate. You know, all those, and also I'm sure decreasing anxiety, lowering levels of depression, because you're totally learning to relax and have a total complete mastery of your body. So it's a very interesting topic. I want to thank Susan Siren for coming on the program today and giving us a little explanation about yoga. She'll be back on in the future. I'll bring her back. I want her to show the many faces of yoga, the different styles and types, and she will also demonstrate. And like I said, I might brave it and actually go on camera and try to do some of these poses myself in the near future. So I want to thank you again for tuning into our program, It's Your Health. You know, we strive to educate you, the public, and to bring you topics that are very, to give you knowledge that will give you the type of information you need to improve your health and your lifestyle. So I want to wish you a very pleasant evening. Thank you for tuning in. Please like us on Facebook. I'm Dr. Victor Planis. Have a pleasant good evening. God bless you.